Alright guys, welcome back to another video. This is a little change of pace. Right behind me I got a 1991 Toyota Supra. It is a naturally aspirated but fully stock. This was a car that I bought for my son for his 15th birthday. And we had gotten it running, and when he got to the point that he could drive it, we started it up after sitting all winter and rod knocked. So he's never got to enjoy it, and he is now 19. So come along with the journey. We're going to get this motor ripped out, rebuilt with parts from two different motors, so I can get a good crank put back in it as long as the block's not totaled in this one, and we'll get it all put back together, and new rings, new bearings, and get it all back together, and we'll be surprising it with him. So let's go. I didn't want to bore you with, prepping this thing to get the engine to come out and stuff. Figured, there's plenty of videos and stuff, and even of me doing things like that. Quick update where I'm at is, you can see I got my high dollar engine hoist hooked up to the motor. It's all broke free. I already have everything disconnected. I found one thing that I missed, which was a ground cable. Already took care of that, but motor's free, separated from the transmission. So we're going to go ahead and keep this going and get this thing popped out. Alright, and just like that, we got the motor on the stand. Quick tip for you guys, some of you may already notice. When you're putting it on an engine, you want to get the pivot point, which is here, closest to the center of mass, which in this case will be higher, but at the same time, the head will be off before this thing gets rotated over, which this will be a lot of the weight that goes away. So anyways, this is going to go away, center of mass there, so we can make this easy to rotate over back and forth as we're doing the bearing sizes and fitting everything. Alright, so I got my whole clean area set up. I went and stole my welding bench since this project shouldn't require any TIG welding to go on. I wanted a clean area, and I don't have much shelf spacing in my shop. So we got this all set up. We have the motor here. I'm going to readjust it just a little bit, but we'll get you set up on time lapse, and you can watch me quickly disassemble this thing down so that way we can get to work on it. It's a little dirty because it has been sitting for, I don't know, I guess like 2 years, but we did go through and re-gasket this whole entire thing, so it really doesn't have any leaks. It's just dusty, painted the block, so it should clean up really well, and then we'll see what all happens with it. But anyways, let's get to rock and roll. Long time lapse. That last little bark kicked my butt a little bit. But anyways, it's disassembled. Block looks good, so that's usable. I'm most likely just going to grab the crank out of the original motor. The reason I'm not using the original block is it sat with a blown head gasket for a long time. There was a defect in the block and the coolant sat just right. It ate through the cylinder wall into that defect and corroded a pocket out to where you would have to bore the cylinder over and sleeve it. Like, you can't go big enough. That's how big it is. So all the crank bearings look good. There is the very first one before the cylinder one here. Right here, this cylinder. You can see a little bit of copper starting to show on it, but the rest of them here all seem good. So the caps are the same way. They're all down here in order, and I highly recommend having a couple of these drip trays, not just to, store your car over them, but they work great just to catch grease and oil, whatever you're doing, whether it's under an engine, under a car, on a workbench like I have over here. I need to inspect the head and make sure that none of the noise I was hearing was coming from here, but I'm relatively certain the noise we were hearing is from the number 6 rod. So, right, but the biggest tail sign, look how much heat this bearing had into it, okay? It's the only one that actually has signs of color. Like this one, it got hot, but it's not like that. The rest of these, like this one was pretty bad. Okay, but still, it didn't turn blue. And this one, on the inside, is just as bad, if not worse than this. But yeah, both sides of this bearing had gotten heat in it. I'm just gonna assume it's because it's how worn out this engine was. Because it was pretty worn out. I never got to see it run. I bought it non-running in a car that was all torn apart. There wasn't a chance of getting it running. I just pulled the head, rebuilt the head. So this is all rebuilt, has like 500 miles on it. It's in good shape. I'm gonna stop rambling. We got more disassembly. Biggest thing is we still need to inspect this, and we need to clean the engine. All right, pardon the noise. It's hot out. It's like over 100. I got my AC running. Okay. So where we're at right now is I'm getting set up to hone. I'm using a flatstone hone. When I've been taught how honing and different things like that, it was broken down to me is like, think about a ball hone. A ball hone is a ball. Okay. Your cylinder walls are supposed to be flat. And now I'm not saying that a ball hone can't, but realistically, shouldn't you have something that's stoning the surface that's flat, not round? So I mean, you're going to get an effective hone with a ball hone, but is it really the best hone for the job? So that's why I've always been, told to use this style. It made sense to me. I've always used this style. One of the things you do is you clean out the board to make sure you get any like contaminants that you don't really want to get impregnated into your stones or into the walls, mostly your stones. And then also use ATF, because ATF is going to be a lubricant, but it's also high detergent, so it's cleaning, so it does a really good job in helping clean your cylinder as you're honing it and then get your lubrication. So we're going to cut to doing that. We got the block honed, but you probably saw that I switched to a different hone. It's really quick. This, I believe, is called a linear cylinder hone, or I'll have to look up exactly what it is, but this type of hone normally used for when you're going like 10 over, or you just had a bore job done and then you're taking that last little bit of material out, but you actually need to take quite a bit more than a normal spring-loaded hone, you use one of these. So you can adjust it out mechanically by rotating this clockwise, and you have your two stones here that'll spread, and then you have your sweepers. You have two sweepers, one on each side, and so this is supposed to keep a more accurate hone, but then also it removes material faster. I switched to this hone because we had really heavy scarring in the cylinder. As soon as I started honing it, you can still see and you can feel this ridge. This is from piston rock or piston slap. The piston's been rocking in the cylinder really bad, and it's worn this out. So our rings don't come up to here. They come right to the edge of this. This is mostly where the top of the piston is hitting, so after the rings. So our ring should still seal, but we're going to have the piston's still going to rock. So essentially what's going to happen is there's two things. I honed this more heavily than you should because of the large amounts of scoring. Two is our pistons are going to be a little bit more loose, so everything's going to wear out. The life of this motor, instead of getting like 200,000 miles out of it, look at it as you're going to get 50 to 100,000 miles out of it. Now the reason I'm going this route is because I don't have oversized pistons. We would still be able to bore this out afterwards if we wanted to. The second reason is most likely my son will eventually change this out to a bigger motor, a V8, a 2JZ. He's probably going to upgrade this at some point. So there's multiple reasons why I'm just going to go ahead and say I'm just putting it together anyways. It's going to be a loose motor, and it is what it is. And we're not going for a 500,000 mile motor. We're going for a motor that's going to work, and he can enjoy this car for a few years, and then until he has another motor built. I still have another block that technically we could sleeve or bore out, then sleeve, and do all this work too if we really, really wanted to go around that route. So being that I don't have oversized pistons, I have everything for stock, I can't return any of this stuff, I'm just going to proceed with doing it this way, and we could build a second motor if we want, or build a V8 or a turbo. Anyways, enough jibber jabber, let's get back to it.
I thought this life would be easy, a wide open road with the radio on, a full tank of gas, the windows rolled down, singing my favorite song, with a summer breeze rolling through my hair.